That's what the reason is. I guess this is it. We are it. We'll call the meeting to order, so. Well, all we need is 4, right?
I think 3, actually.
All we need is 3. Well, somebody want to leave? Well. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. David, will you lead us, please?
Be a pleasure. Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and roll call, and it's Shelby, not Mitzi tonight.
Commissioner Salgin, Commissioner West,
Here.
Commissioner Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Stevenson,
Here.
Commissioner Vayu, Commissioner Vanessen.
Here. All right, thank you. This time is open to public discussion, where anybody who is here would like to address the commission on anything that's not on the agenda. Seeing we have one person here and he's shaking his head, I'm going to continue on. All right. Then we have the approval of the minutes of the May 16 meeting.
I can make a motion to approve those.
Okay.
Second.
Let's see. I don't think I got the copy of those minutes, so I'm going to abstain. I thought maybe I got kicked off the commission because I didn't get any. I missed one meeting, so I asked Ken, I says, does this mean I'm gone? He said, not so lucky.
You're our favorite one.
All right, so we will head into our agenda. How this will work is we will have a public hearing. First, the staff will present a report, and then the commissioners will ask them questions if they have any. Following that, the order of testimony will be the applicant, those in favor, those in opposition, and any rebuttal by the applicant. Then we'll close the public hearing and the commissioners will have a discussion and take a vote. So at this time, we will start with the variance application for 1196 and 1226 Doak Boulevard.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we skip to the second one for the applicant we do have here?
You can take it out of order if you want, yeah.
Is that okay?
That's fine with me, sure. So then we're gonna skip to the second, which is a major site application, 511 South Stockton Avenue. Mr. Zeidevart.
Pop me up on the screen, please. Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners. Basically, this is a major site review application. This is for the property located at 511 South Stockton Avenue, just south of 4th Street there. Right next door is the DeGraff Development Building, and then this building. This actually came in front of the Planning Commission in 2015. It was a personal storage, kind of a shop building on a parcel, and it was purchased by Steve's Mobile Sunscreen. I don't know, some of you might have been on the commission at that time when we went through that. Steve's Mobile Sunscreen bought the site. They added an office portion to the front of it for his sunscreen business. So that was about a 900 square foot addition in the front. At one point, he put a parking lot in for that addition and fenced the property and landscaped it, so he brought it up to standards when that was approved back in 2015. Since that time, Steve's Mobile Sunscreen has sold and moved from there, and the property was resold to the current owner, who currently uses that facility as more of a personal storage facility for themselves. There's some office space in the front, but he just mostly stores cars and such in the back warehouse building. Basically, the request here in front of you this evening is to add on to the existing shop building, or more or less tear down the shop building in the back and then build a little bit larger one. So they're just trying to add some square footage onto it to make the shop building bigger. The front office portion will not change. The reason it's in front of the commission today is because of the reduced setbacks. The parcel is fairly narrow. The building does sit next to the northern property line already as a zero lot line. They're looking to push the southern portion of the building closer to the property line. It's about 3 feet off the property line. Our standard setbacks for light industrial are 20 feet all around a building. This building never has met that, and if you tried to meet that on this site, you wouldn't have much of a building at all. So within the code, we do allow for reduced setbacks upon approval of the Planning Commission and upon approval of the Ripon Consolidated Fire Chief. So the fire department has looked at the proposed project. They have no issues with it. They still access the building in the front or even off the alley in the back, so they don't have any issues with it. So they were fine with the reduced setbacks, and the neighboring properties were as well. So here's the look of the building. It really won't change much at all. It's gonna be the same, actually newer metal siding that's on it, that's currently on it, but it'll be metal siding in the back. The front is still predominantly the office portion of the building, which is stuccoed and has kind of a parapet across the top, kind of dresses that front building up. The parking spaces, they are not affecting the current parking spaces on the parcel, but they are proposing to add a parking space in front of this door, which will be outside the building, and they do have some proposed parking spaces inside the building. So the current user doesn't necessarily need those parking spaces, but for any future tenant, they would need a few more than what's on the site because of the size of the warehouse building. So with that being said, there is a recommendation for the Planning Commission for approval on the project, and at this time I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so anybody have questions?
I do. I can. What would be the amount of typical required parking for a building of this size, exterior parking?
So you need roughly 4 spaces for the office portion in the front, which they currently have. And then you would need an additional, for every 1,000 square feet of warehouse space. You can look at it a couple ways within our municipal code. It could be 2 spaces for every 1,000 square feet that's needed, or it could be dependent on employees. You can look at it either way. So you can look at a company's employees and decipher the parking needs or the square footage of the building. I believe, let me just find the square footage here. You would need probably an additional 3 spaces, I believe.
So they could technically be, on-street, there is no parking, is that correct, or there is on-street parking?
The way South Stockton was redesigned, originally there was no parking along South Stockton. Now that the final design is done and the street's, I guess, almost done out there, if you drive down it, you can see that there's a middle turn lane halfway down the street. It doesn't start till after this building, so there is some area in front that you could park along the street. I think all the way down to like 4th Street, from 2nd to 4th Street, there's an opportunity to park on either side of the street.
Okay.
Once you get past 4th Street, which this parcel is a little bit south of 4th Street, so a little south of this project is where you see it starts turning into where there's a turn lane for some of the trucking terminals a little further down, so they can get out of the travel lane and get into a turn lane.
So there's a couple of available street side parking spots, and there's really not a lot of other traffic going on down there. There's not a lot of reasons, unless somebody's going to this building or working at this building, to use that street parking in that area. It's too far from downtown for any other traffic.
Is there a direct access from the alley to that building?
There is direct access to the back building,
Okay.
yes.
And is
The
there-
alley's
is there-
it's in a dead-end alley down there, so it doesn't necessarily have an output on the other side of it, but there is an alley access.
So there is potentially parking in the back then, or not?
Not on the alley, no. It's only a 20-foot alley. The fire department requires that be maintained open. That's 20 feet for emergency services, if they ever need to get down there. So they wouldn't have any additional parking there, and that's why They do have some shown inside the building there, and then there's one that's gonna be striped outside. So there's an additional site being put, parking space being put in on site. That brings it to 5 total, and then there's 3 inside. That's 8 total parking spaces.
There's an additional one on the outside?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
so in
talked
front of that, in front of the, just south of the the existing office building, on the very front there, you can see that's remaining. They're
Yeah.
gonna stripe another spot right there as it can,
Okay, so they're up to 5
yes.
of 7, okay.
And actually, the parking is sufficient for the current user. It's just if, you know, it really depends, like, a lot of our parking standards, if you look at our parking requirements, you know, they're averages, right? So some buildings might need more than what the average is, some might need less. Currently, the user here, that's here now needs probably less than what they even have. You can get a user that's in here that gets put in the future at some point, if he ever sells the building, that might need more. Good example, right down here, the doctor's office. You know, they put in parking spaces and met our code for what's over there. You see a lot of their employees parking out here on the street because they want to save the parking spaces for patients coming in and stuff. So, like I said, it's an average that you get out of these parking manuals. They do studies and such, but you know, an average is just that. Some are above and some are below.
Thanks, Ken.
Finally, a business that doesn't take up all the parking.
Well, we know.
Outstanding
right
for the
now.
doctor's office.
Any other questions? Okay, you must be the applicant. Would you like to address us, please? We ask that you come up there and state your name. I have a couple questions for you. So state your name and address, and then we're going to grill you. I bet he's glad he came.
Oh, I'll tell ya. I'm glad I'm on this side of the table.
My name's Wes Van Buren. I live at 422 3rd Street here in Ripon and have for a long time, right next to Kenny.
Okay. So you're not giving him preferential treatment, are you?
Well, I do some work on his cars.
Oh,
Okay.
can we stop the recording, please?
I really don't.
Okay, so I have a question. So this is your building?
No, it's my brother's building.
It's your brother's building? Okay,
He's in Portugal.
okay. Poor guy. So what is in this building now?
So there's an office building in the front, and he does some of his crop insurance stuff, you know, in the office there. And then in the back, there's an I think actually it belonged to your family way, way back in the day. It's a kind of like a steel building. It's pretty old. I don't know what year that went in, but it has to be back in the 50s or 60s, I'm guessing. And it's pretty run down. It's, you know, metal siding, metal roof, no insulation, anything like that. It's a solid building, but it's a concrete floor, the whole bit there. And right now, you know, we have some cars in there. We work on some cars here and there, and not commercially or anything like that, just stuff that my brother and I work on. It's just kind of like a warehouse building, kind of like a hobby shop for us more than anything else. And it's, like I said, no insulation, anything like that. It's you definitely lose some weight in the summertime in there. So we would like to upgrade it a little bit, get it a little taller, a little bit wider. It's really hard to move vehicles around in there now because it's just so narrow. So we're trying to get it a little bit wider, have a little bit more freedom to move around in there, insulate the walls, insulate the roof, so that we can, you know, actually, we go from, 40 degrees in the winter and freezing in there to 115 in the summer and dying in there. So we're just trying to upgrade it, make it a little bit nicer, a little more user-friendly.
Okay, so it's kind of like a hobby shop. You're only working on your own cars.
Yeah.
And with his business, with his insurance business, does he have clients that come to the office?
No, he does most of his stuff out of his, he's a crop insurance guy, so it's not like where you have a lot of clients coming in. He's usually the one going out.
Okay.
So he keeps some of his business records in there, you know, like his things in there, some of his, if he, some of his files and things like that, but he doesn't really do any work in there.
And does he have employees in the office or not?
No.
No. Okay.
It's more, the offices are really nice, but he really doesn't do any work in there as far as, it's other than just to store some things in there.
Okay. Anybody have other questions for Wes? Okay. Thank you. All right, this is the opportunity for anybody else to speak in favor. Seeing none. Speak opposed. Seeing none. We will close the public hearing, and we are ready for discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission approves the 511 South Stockton Avenue Major Site Review, Sierra Romeo 22-41, based on the findings and subject to the conditions of the staff report.
I'll second.
Yes, you are. You're just, moving right along. All right. Do we have a
4-0.
4-0? Congratulations. Go for it.
Thank you very much. Do I need to stay now?
Unless you want some entertainment. We're highly entertaining.
You already made me nervous.
I work at that. All right, so we will move on to what was first on the agenda originally, the variance application for Doak.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This item is a public hearing tonight, so we will have to open it up to the public to speak
Yes.
if they'd like. Hunter, if you want to, can you put that up on the screen? Thank you. Basically, the applicant is requesting a variance to have the city's required front setback and makeup area for 2 custom homes proposed to be built on the properties that you're seeing there. In 2010, a parcel map was processed for this one. It was a single piece of property. It was kind of leftover property that was owned. It was never developed with the Poppy Hills subdivision, which is just to the south of that there, that cul-de-sac and such. The shape and configuration of the 2 lots that were created, they're just a little unusual. They're very, very narrow, not necessarily the 1196 parcel, but definitely the 1226. It's just a long, narrow parcel. A little difficult to fit a standard home on it with all the required setbacks. Like I said, the parcel map was approved in 2010. That was approved in 2010. We also did discover, once the applicant started to try to form up some lots out there, there was a little bit of a bust in the parcel map. So typically in that area, the front property line is the back of sidewalk. If you drive out there and look at the site, just to the west of the site, there's homes that sit back off of Doak. There's a 12-foot wide sidewalk. That's a combination Class 1 bike path and pedestrian walkway. The property line is usually the back of that sidewalk. Well, here there's about almost a 2-foot gap between the property line and the back of sidewalk. It's kind of like, it's city property, but it's kind of no man's land. They're gonna have to landscape it and maintain it. So what we're proposing here tonight is a variance on both lots. Let's see, this is the larger lot, so this is the lot that's the 1196 furthest east. So here's the house kind of laid out on that lot. Our current code allows for a house to encroach into the rear yard setback of a parcel by a certain amount, up to 15 feet to the back property line. So the front setbacks that are typical on these lots are 30 feet in the front, 30 feet in the rear, 8 foot on one side, and then 12 foot on the opposite side. This applicant's actually proposing to take up a little bit of that backyard space, which is allowable as long as you have makeup area. So if you're taking up space in your backyard, you need to give it kind of back somewhere else in your rear yard area. We don't want, obviously, houses taking up the whole lot is the idea. We would like to have the open space. And we also allow houses to encroach into that front setback by 5 feet. So that gives a little bit of articulation on the front of the house. So it's not, a lot of homes are just built flat across that front setback line, especially production homes. So it gives a little bit of articulation and makes the house look a little nicer. So what we're proposing here is allowing the applicant to really utilize that, it's 1 foot 11 inches that are not his property, but count that towards his setback. So his actual setback for the front of the property line would be 28 feet 1 inch instead of the standard 30. So that's what's being proposed as a variance for this lot. Besides that slight variance on this lot, the house meets all of the requirements of our municipal code, setback-wise and everything. So there's kind of the picture of what the variance would be. Like I said, it's basically allowing it to be 28 feet 1 inch instead of 30 feet. This is the house he's proposing to build. They're custom homes, very nice looking homes. And this is the floor plan for it. Very busy, kind of looking with all the dimensions on it, but nice home. I think the house, I don't know if I had it in the staff report, is 3,000 some square feet on this one. And then the variance for the second one's a little more difficult. That's the one that gets very narrow. It gets super narrow as you get down to Robert Avenue. You can see I've put on these site plan maps where the standard setbacks would be for a house and what would be left to actually build it. There's not a lot of room left on this lot, especially kind of the house that he's trying to put on here. So the proposal there would be, he is gonna push the house back to that 15-foot mark in the back property line. That's not a variance, that's just allowed by our code. But the makeup area is not within the back half of the lot like normally is required. So we're proposing to allow him to have some makeup area where the yellow is on that. That's kind of more the front part of the lot. It's still within the backyard area, but more the front part of the lot. So the parcel's got plenty of room. It's got plenty of makeup area. It's just, it would be in the side yard area, not necessarily the rear half of the lot. And then secondly, to fit the house on the property and make it fit, not get too close to that back property line, we don't want to get closer than 15 feet. They would be pushing closer to that front setback. So this house would actually have a front setback from the property line of 16 feet 5 inches rather than the 30 feet that's required. Puts it back about 18 feet 4 inches from the back of sidewalk. But that sidewalk is 12 feet wide, and there is a 10-foot parkway there, so that's that landscape strip. So the house would be about 40 feet back from the street. So it's still a pretty decent setback from the street. It's just a little closer to that front sidewalk than the rest of the houses west of that. The garage portion is actually where it narrows way back down here. So the garage sits way enough far back that you're not going to have issues with cars. Both homes have to be designed where there's kind of a hammerhead or a driveway where they turn around and pull out front ways onto Doak Boulevard. We're trying to prevent people backing out onto a street that's deemed to be a little more busy. So that's the proposal here tonight for this house would be to let this one get a little closer to that front, knowing it's still got quite a ways from the street, but it's just no matter which way you slice this lot, it's kind of difficult. Here's the elevation views of this house. Really kind of a nice house designed for there, another custom home. And obviously here's the floor plan for that house. This one's 3,120 square feet, which is being proposed. So that's what's in front of you this evening for the variance request. We would hold them to those site plans that were put together for the property there. My staff has gone through it with the applicant. I do believe it's something we can support on these lots. Like I said, it gets very difficult to get a house on, especially this lot. So with that being said, I don't think the applicant's here tonight, obviously, but he did do a variance a while back. And then when we started laying it out and they had that kind of that bust in the parcel map, they're back in front of you tonight, kind of requesting an amendment to that variance is what you're seeing tonight.
Okay, because I thought I remembered this.
So this is the request in front of you this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any on these.
Anybody have questions?
So the integrity of the sidewalk in front of the house all stays the same, so that's all going to look in sync?
Yeah,
going
that'll
across
look the
street?
same. The
Okay.
only thing you're gonna see here, and this sits, I mean, this sits quite a ways from Robert Avenue, but like, the only thing that would maybe stick out a little here is the house. This front corner of the house is gonna appear a little closer to the street than what the rest on that side of the road on Doak look like, but, you know, instead of being 25 feet back, it'll be 18 feet. There'll be like a 7-foot difference there in what you could possibly see normally.
Also, does approving this variance, does this compromise us in the future? Like, oh, you did this, so you gotta do this one too, and this one, and this one?
The reason, and when you do a variance, you're supposed to make certain findings. So like applying strict setbacks for a parcel like this is not allowing this parcel to develop like other parcels would. So you're not setting any precedents where someone else is gonna come in that's got a normal lot and says, well, you let them do this. Well, it's like they couldn't do what you normally could do because of the configuration and shape of the lot. That's what a variance is. So I always do, like I said, a good example I always like to bring up is the Main Street overpass. You know, the 7-foot tall fence over there, which 7-foot tall fences are a standard. Well, a 7-foot tall fence over there doesn't give them the same privacy as it does all of us because they got an elevated road behind their house. So they have a good case for a variance because they're not afforded the same, you know, rules or the same privacy as everybody else because of our rules. So that's kind of how variances work. You look at a lot and you'd have to apply a set of rules that say, oh, hey, this one's a little abnormal. If you apply our standard rules, it's not gonna work for them.
So I'm assuming both of these houses are spec houses. He's not, or is he gonna live in one of them?
They're both spec homes. He's gonna build the custom homes and sell them.
Okay.
David.
Kenny, the driveways, circular?
You can design them either way. The requirement here is they have to be either circular or what they call a hammerhead, where you kind of can back out and then get turned around. I would imagine they would probably go with at least a hammerhead maybe on this one, just because of the configuration of the house. It just depends how much room they have.
Okay, so either circular or hammerhead. Is this about the same square footage as other homes nearby?
Yeah, so just west of that is the Poppy Hill subdivision. Those were probably about 3,500 square feet, just west of those. And if you go across the street, there's quite a few 2-stories right across the street from this, and those were, Scott Evanson built those. They're all about the 3,000 square foot range as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Ken.
Can you bring up that aerial photo again? No, one more back. No, it was like the aerial view. It showed the parcels and then it showed dirt next, there you go. So what's that dirt next to 1196? Is that a future home development?
Yeah, so that's owned by a different person. They actually did a parcel map years ago on that one. There's 4 parcels there, but they let the garden club use part of it right now, and they don't have any desire so they haven't sold them off or anything, but those are 4 custom lots there as well, fairly large ones. So as Doak Boulevard travels east there, the road obviously has got an angle. Those other lots won't need variances on those because they're large enough for standard setbacks to work for them.
So that's where the community garden is right now.
Yeah, they take a part of it, and there's still a little chunk of it that's not, that the garden's not on, but it's owned by Boersma that owns all that property there. There's 4, like I said, there's 4 lots.
Anybody else? Steve, any questions? No? All right. So I don't see anybody who's going to talk to us, so we'll close the public hearing. And we're probably ready for a motion.
Discussion.
Discussion.
So this will be one of the closest that we've ever approved as far as a setback close to the road. But, you know, what is he gonna do with this lot? It could stay weeds, okay? Or we have to give something. I don't see a safety issue, although Doak does contour. And houses that are close can create safety issues. At this point, the street is straight. And it looks like it's going to be a nice addition to that community. And I don't see anything, although it's very close. Have we ever approved anything with this narrow of a setback residentially before?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have. So like, some of our smaller lots in town have a different front setback.
Okay.
These are R1C lots, which are like residential / custom lots, so they're typically a little bit larger square footage. Some of our smaller lots, like a 6,500 to 7,500 square foot lot, the front setback's only 20 feet.
Okay, so it's close.
And then we still allow that 5-foot encroachment, so a portion of some of those homes could be at 15 feet from the back of sidewalk. Now typically, we have, like I said, that green parkway out front, that landscaped area, which is 10 feet, and then you have sidewalks, so it's still, even those homes, even if the house is at 15 feet, you still have another 16 feet of sidewalk and landscape area, so you're still at 30 feet back from the road for those homes. So, and this one here, having the 12-foot sidewalk even pushes it further back, so he's really not that close to the road, but it's gonna look a little different than what's out there.
And is it gonna be it's the same 12-foot sidewalk in front of this?
Yes, and that's one of the requirements when he builds the home, is he'll be putting in the 12-foot sidewalks there, yeah.
Thank you.
I would suspect that once it's up, you might be able to visually see it, but it's not gonna be that big of a difference. It's, you know, with those big lots and that wide street and the wide sidewalks, it's not gonna look all that odd.
So it's about like I said, I think it was 18 feet, 4 inches from the back of sidewalk. Normal setback there, if they met all the setbacks, the house could be at 25 feet, so you're like, it's about a 7-foot difference,
Yeah.
is what really realistic, and that house sits so far away from Robert Avenue because it tapers down so much, it's not like you're pulling up to the intersection and that house is right there in a way, it's gonna be like 100 feet that way, because it's such a large lot. So, there's not a visual impact, it's not gonna visually impair traffic at all, or?
Now, they could
yes.
potentially fence in that whole side yard, though.
It can. But the variance doesn't have to apply to the fencing, it's just
Right.
the house.
Right, okay.
Oh. Is that considered within part of the page 11 recommended action? It would not include the fence?
You can include that.
What are you saying?
She's a very smart lady.
What are you saying on that, Deborah?
Well, if they put a fence that's in line with the setback of the house, now, when you do come up on Roberts and let's say you wanna take a ride on Doak, or,
You
you
got
know,
the fence
you've got the
pretty
fence
close,
there.
yeah.
Because the fence could come all the way to that, you know,
From the house.
yeah.
Well,
So,
the
so if the fence, if we aren't gonna give, I would say that we probably exclude the variance for the fencing in the front yard. That would be,
I like it
you know, cause that'll help
a lot.
the visual.
Yeah, if you put a 6-foot fence up, yeah, it's gonna stand out.
Mhm.
Sweet.
A lot.
How's it affect the future houses next to it? Let's say somebody does build there eventually someday, so are those houses gonna have to be a little bit more forward and online for the?
No.
No,
It's actually nice to have some different setbacks on homes, it gives
Okay.
a lot of variation.
okay,
Doesn't look so cookie cutter that way, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
good. So it
because
doesn't
there's
blend it
there's
then.
gonna be no other houses going in to the east, because that's the end of it, right? Am I, do I have
Well,
my
to the
directions
east,
right?
there's the bigger lots there that
Okay, yeah,
that could be built on.
well, that's to the east, so it's to the west.
Yeah, to the
Okay.
west, they're all done,
Yeah,
and you have a street separating them, so
Right.
yeah.
right, and the roundabouts and all that, so.
Kenny, if we don't include the fence, are we putting him in a really strange situation where a fence is gonna be at a weird spot in his house, where it's reasonable?
It's reasonable, you can maybe just include some language in there about fencing maybe having to be approved at staff level, just, because I think realistically, you're just looking for anything that's gonna be more from a safety standard, safety aspect. You don't wanna cause a safety hazard with, vision from that intersection. It'd be nice, I don't know what he's gonna do for fencing, but I can't imagine if you look at this, Hunter, can you pop that up really quick? I can't imagine he's gonna bring his fencing all the way to this kind of point out there where the yellow stops. It'd be kind of odd looking where you have a
Well,
fence.
that's what I was wondering though, but I mean, just in case it would be kind of it would not be a very nice or fun side backyard to have it come to that point, but just to prevent So if we could make it like, yeah, on a staff level where you're looking at the safety, visual safety. Are you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah, and I do like it set back, because if it gets too close to the street, it's gonna
Yeah.
be unattractive.
Yeah, the fence too close to the street's gonna be unattractive, yeah.
So I would agree with what you said, and then maybe we could include language. I can make a motion if you want, we can argue
Yeah.
through the language. I'll make a motion that we approve the statement on package of page 11. The Planning Commission approves the variance request for 1196 and 1226 Doak Boulevard based on the findings and subjects to the conditions in the staff report. The variance to exclude the fence line. And how do we want to word this?
And that, approval for fence will be based on staff recommendation. So
Okay.
that'll be up to the staff.
I'm good with that, you guys? Okay. That'd be my motion.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. All right. Whoa, all right. So that takes care of that. And do we have any reports from the planning director?
Yes, thanks for all heading in tonight. I said a little hiccup on my part. We didn't get, I guess you didn't get staff reports, but that's.
You know, you had a wedding planned, you know?
So next month, we do have a couple big projects, so make sure you have that on your agenda. That's, boy, let's see, June or July, sorry. July 18th, thank you, Shelby. So July 18th, we will be actually reviewing the Bethany Home project over there. That's a pretty large project for Ripon, and also there'll be a smaller project over on Jacktone. It's a project that you guys sent back because they didn't have enough parking. So they've redone that project a little bit. It'll be coming back. They are looking to do a single user now. They want to put in a liquor store, but they're probably going to be limiting some hours. They're talking about more of a Bevmo type quality liquor store, not something that's open till 2 in the morning. More of something that closes at reasonable hours that you can go in and buy some, upscale wine, beers, and liquors and stuff at. So that'll be coming back in front of the commission in July. So those two are pretty big. I believe Commissioner Collins will be stepping out on the Bethany Home project.
I have to.
'Cause
But when I
of
get older,
where he
they want
lives?
to annex my house, so, 'cause I'm right next to them.
That's July 18th?
Yeah, so we'll have those two. We'll have staff reports out to you in advance on those to review those. And at least, even the Bethany Home project, I know is pretty big. So if you guys have questions on those at all, feel free to reach out to staff ahead of time. I can always help answer questions for you guys.
Do you have a date and time for the findings meetings?
I don't yet.
Okay.
Well, if you all were as old as me, you would have gotten some personal invites from Bethany to come and hear their presentation. Because I've had some. You youngins.
I do.
I'm going to put my reservation in. They're pretty nice looking places.
Let's see here. It'll probably be more like July. We're trying to do a couple weeks ahead of time. It'll probably be like July 5th or 6th.
Okay,
For
so
the-
if I check in with you on July 1st,
Yeah.
I'll get them, okay.
So that's it. We do have a couple in August as well that'll be coming in front of the commission. Fitness club, the last parcel out there by Les Schwab. So that whole
Well,
place
there's
will be
still one
filled
more
up.
parcel. I thought they were all full. Okay.
No, we denied that one.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's the one that's coming back that's going to be a liquor store. But there's going to be another fitness?
Yeah, so so on the corner of Camps Way and Canal Boulevard, there's a parcel behind the gas station there that's
Okay.
by Les Schwab that's open, and a fitness club will be coming in there. Actually, a business moving from Antigua to Ripon. And
So they're going to give Alpine a little competition.
yeah, totally different style. I think they actually will probably help each other a little bit. Yeah, and then a real exciting project, but a mini storage project down at the end of East 4th Street down there by Gunnert. That property is for sale along the freeway. So those two will be at the August meeting. So that's kind of what we have in the pipeline.
Any more news on that property on Bosch? Have they found a builder yet?
Still looking, they're still looking, they have till the end of 2023, and then they can ask for a one-year extension, so they actually have till the end of 2024 if they ask for that extension to still be active, or the development agreement to still be active, so, I don't know, we're getting into tough times with housing right now, so I don't know where that's gonna end up. And, yeah, we had a couple other housing projects that are, we have an application for one at the Eastburg property on the other side of town that's kind of slow playing, but, you know, those things could slow way down with housing interest rates going way up. And couple orchards being removed right now, that there's no projects, but you might get questions around town. There's one,
Over by Moeller?
there's down at the end of Moeller, the walnuts got all torn out down there, and we've been getting a lot of calls on that. There's no projects there. People are curious, so, and also over by Taco Bell, right by Taco Bell over there on Hoff Drive, they did tear some of the almonds out over there. I think the property's sold, but there's no, obviously, we don't have any applications or anything, so no projects at this point. So if anybody's asking about those to you guys, we have nothing
Nothing happening.
yet.
All right, any commissioner reports? All right, thank you,
lot of
guys.
action
We
going.
will adjourn. Till next